Tales of a Bridezilla, aka my story on becoming a bridezilla against my will. I saw a post in here asking if bridezillas are born or made, and I thought I'd share my story. I am on mobile, so apologies for any formatting errors. Apologies, it's super long. For context, me and my FH are getting married in August. We really debated on having a big wedding and reception versus eloping for a number of reasons. My grandma died 6 months before my engagement, and I could not fathom the idea of planning and having a wedding without her. My dad is an abusive alcoholic, and our whole family crashed and burned like 1 month before my engagement, and I went super LC. So no support from my dad, a lot of tension and hurt, plus no daddy-daughter dance. I work a very demanding job that I am very passionate about, so I did not want to spend a lot of time and energy planning a wedding. We ended up having a wedding and reception because my FH really wanted a wedding and reception. And in a way I did too, just the whole idea of planning was super overwhelming, and I still am not in the best place mentally and emotionally, having experienced a lot of loss recently. Plus my mom was really excited about it, and knowing she too had experienced a lot of loss and trauma way worse than me, I wanted to do anything I could to make her feel better. However, there were 2 conditions that I had. A. I was very clear with my FH that this was not my wedding, it was our wedding, so we would both equally participate in the wedding planning and decision making. B. We would plan over a long period of time so it would not get too crazy, 1.5 years. It is also important to note that I am the first niece, grandchild and cousin to get married on both sides of the family. Plus I am the first person to get married in my friend group, so everyone is excited x10 for my wedding, which will come into play later. Now on to every single incident that has happened. First incident. Booking a wedding company. The shitstorm started almost as soon as planning started. We decided to seek wedding packages where many things were included along with the venue to limit the number of vendors we would have to deal with. So I contacted a bunch of Kamoanis seeking a quote. The thing is, we had a very clear budget that we would not compromise on because we did not want to put ourselves in a bad spot financially because of a wedding. Well, let me tell you, getting an actual number from venues is next to impossible. They all want you to tour the venue, check their IG, tell them all about the wedding, etc. I tried to be polite at first, but then had to simply draw the line and tell them that I do not want to waste my time and theirs if they are not within our budget. But it did not end there. Once I got a quote and told them they were too expensive for us, they would not let it go. It was a bunch of calls, text, emails trying to convince me to book them. Some would be polite and just hype themselves, but others even resorted to shaming me for not caring about the biggest day of my life, telling me money comes and goes, etc. After a 3-month search, we ended up booking a company we both liked that worked without budget. And once I got to tell these people I had already booked someone else, most of the pushing stopped, but one company continued to contact me speaking ill of the company we booked. Second incident. Save the date. As soon as the venue company was booked, we sent the save the dates literally 1 whole year before the wedding. Well, 3 weeks after we sent the save the date, I get a temper tantrum from a family member because she had a trip planned and she wanted me to change the wedding. She told me how I always said my wedding would be in the fall, and I was prioritizing my FH's family, etc. Yes, I had always said I'd get married in October like my parents. But with my parents separating under the worst conditions, and since Sil, who lived in the other side of the world, could only come over the summer, I was more than happy to send October to the curve. And I was not prioritizing FH's family, we were prioritizing immediate family over extended family. Now I have no issue with them missing the wedding, but to actually complain about me not asking her about their availability was so absurd to me. Plus they had a whole year of heads up to rearrange the vacation if they wanted to, which they ended up doing. Third incident. Wedding attire shopping. This is more a series of incidents, but I am putting them all here because they relate to finding my wedding dress outfit. Dress shopping was awful. I am convinced that if I ever go to hell, I'm going to be trying on dress after dress for all eternity. For context, I am currently struggling with hormonal issues and went from 125 pounds to 165 pounds in 6 months, so trying on clothes in general, but especially wedding dresses, was super triggering. Originally I wanted a second-hand dress since it is more eco and budget-friendly. I searched for a couple of months and found nothing. I was at that weird mid-size range in which I am too big for the average sizes but too small for plus size, so I had to buy new. I went in with what I thought was a pretty good budget, the equivalent in my currency of $1 US$50 minus 2K. Boy was I wrong. They kept offering me dresses that were too expensive for me, like 2.5K, 3K, etc. As I kept turning them down. Because again I was sticking to my budget. The lady helping me kept getting more and more rude, the point she undressed me with the door open in front of all of the staff, my mom and friends, including men. I almost cried. I also had to spend all day being body shamed by everyone and hearing how I had to lose weight when I knew I couldn't because there is something wrong with my body. Plus my biggest worry is not how I fill my wedding dress, but actually how this affects my reproductive health and fertility. Eventually I found a dress I could afford at another store. Everything was good until the first dress fitting rolled around. They informed me for the first time that the fittings could not be done on the weekend once the dress was fully paid, mind you. This was very upsetting because I did not want to miss work, and make my life super complicated and stressful at work. This is the first time I went full Bridezilla on anyone. I told them it was very unprofessional to not include this policy on their store. Their website nor my contract. If they had actually informed me this beforehand, as they are legally required to, I would not have purchased my dress with them. I told them either they see me on a Saturday within the hours listed or they can issue a refund. They agreed to see me on a Saturday. Shoe shopping was also a nightmare since the person I bought my shoes from would ghost me for weeks. Fourth incident. Decisions, decisions, decisions. This is also a series of incidents that all fall into one category. My FH is not very good at decorations, so when picking the color scheme of the wedding I came up with 3 or 4 options I liked and he chose his favorite. When my mom found out, she called me on a rant about how my wedding had to be pink since I loved pink and this was my day. I calmly told her this is the colors we picked for our day and I like them. Mind you, I love pink, but I never ever wanted a pink wedding. I always thought pink felt too bride-centric and I did not like the feeling a cotton candy cupcake monster had just swallowed me. Then the vendor nightmare. Although we hired a company that offered a very inclusive package, they still had people in charge of different aspects, i.e. they had a catering person, setup person, flower person, etc. Plus there were some vendors we hired on our own, like the photographer. So I decided to split the vendors so he would deal with some people and I would deal with others. For some of the more important stuff we asked them to send all communications to the group chat since we did not want to risk me not seeing it and delaying anything. I kid you not, most vendors time and time again would text me in private, even after me asking them to text the group chat or FH, as applicable. Plus they would text me to confirm the decisions FH was making. I understand that this is how some people might want things done, but I have told them time and time again that I trust FH, that this is his wedding too and that this is our agreement. In one ear and out the other. I am so tempted to tell them for the 5th time that FH is in charge of this and just block them. It is so important to note that I am super busy with work. Have ADHD, my hormones are crazy, and I am not in the best headspace going through 2 grieving processes. I simply do not have the brain capacity to keep track of all this stuff. On the other hand, FH was moved to a different role with less time-sensitive work and claims to be in the best mental health shape ever. Thanks to me, so he is really happy to take on the heavier load of wedding planning. Plus we are really good at communicating and reaching solutions that work for the both of us. It is awful that wedding vendors simply cannot be empathetic to our situation and respect the agreements we have as a couple. Fifth incident. The last stop where we went full Bridezilla Groomzilla. Background. There were some things the package we got did not include and had been asking for recommendations for months. Plus other things that were not included and the company we hired required, like lighting. However, we were not aware of this extras. So like 3 months before the wedding we get a text from our wedding planner with a quote of all of the extras which would increase our budget 20%. We were shocked and very upset. We rejected all of the extras we could and only kept the bare minimum that was absolutely necessary. Shortly thereafter we get a text from the salesperson of THR company letting us know they would be opening a hotel next to our venue and we could either book it or let other people go through our wed. Ding to get to the hotel. The issue. We had already booked a different hotel with them further away, and we were required to book the whole hotel, and if our guests did not use the rooms, we'd still have to pay for them. I was very upset because A. My other grandma and my FH's uncle are very sick and having a room to lay down really close to the wedding venue would be perfect. B. Having other people constantly going through our wedding seemed like a nightmare, especially since as per our contract we were liable for any damages to the venue caused during the wedding. So I called the salesperson to try to negotiate a solution. I had a bunch of proposals including granting a release for the damages caused during the wedding or letting us release the other hotel and book the new one. He was having none of it. He was super rude and condescending, not letting me talk, not hearing my proposals and trying to mansplain contract law to me, a lawyer whose practice includes contract law. I kept raising my voice since he would not let me talk, wrong on my part, but eventually told me he would make a different proposal. I told him I would not hang up until I had it in writing, but he hung up on us. Both my boyfriend and I sent VN to the group chat and to the director of the company. He was as mad as I have ever seen him. I was in tears. FH told them he could not believe how disrespectful the salesperson had been and how he would not tolerate this level of disrespect to his future wife. I told them that they had constantly disregarded our wishes and failed to inform us many things in a timely manner, including the hotel, which made me think they did not care about our wedding. So I asked them to confirm they actually cared, or if they wanted to they would refund us all the money paid and we could go our merry way. One of the higher-ups called later that day, apologized profusely and agreed to let us release the other hotel and book the new one, which worked for us. And things have been looking up. Other minor things that happened. My invites included some hotels that offered a discounted rate to our guests. A family member called me to complain about the hotel rates and sent the link to a motel demanding I include it in the invitation. Mind you, this is not a destination wedding. We are getting married in a venue one town over 1 hour or 1.5 hours away from where we live, which is a common vacation spot for the people in our city. Kind of like the Hamptons and NYC, but closer. Guests are not required to stay at any of the hotels listed. Many of them have rest homes there. Many are choosing to get an Airbnb and some are even driving back the same day. A family member sent a picture of a white dress with a black trim asking if it was okay to wear. IDC about standing out in my wedding, but why would she want to wear white is beyond me. I said it's okay because I wanted to avoid drama and I don't cake too much, but it definitely rubbed me the wrong way. I feel like I should not have to be answering this kinds of questions. Another family member demanded I resend my STD 1 week before the invites were to be delivered because some people had forgotten and if I did not remind them they would not come to the wedding. She was offended when I told her the wedding was still almost 4 months away and I understood if some people could not make it. But it was on them if they did not save the date when they got the save the date. Another thing that happened was that everyone was very excited for my wedding being the first PF my generation getting married, so they all wanted to throw me an event or something. A bachelorette, a bridal shower, an engagement party, etc. The issue was that they offered to throw a party I very easily could live without and then expected me to pay for it, plan it. Not everyone, some people actually did throw awesome parties with little involvement from me and I appreciate them so much. If you made it this far, thank you for reading.